It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh, let's review.
We'll analyze the scene.
Sounds holly jolly to me.
Before it's over, let's begin.
Bum.
Um,
That's right, folks. Since the Christmas season is upon us, we thought the way to celebrate and get into the holiday spirit would be with some holiday reviews.
12 to be exact, decoratively divided into 4 categories for your Yuletide pleasure.
So, without further ado, silver up those bells, light the multicolored lights, and go out and build a snowman. And join us as we get into some seasonal shenanigans. And my golly, my G Dragon, what are we unwrapping tonight?
An All Dogs Christmas Carol.
What would the category for that one be, my friends?
That would be part of our television category.
Right. Oh boy, Dragon. Oh boy. All right, so I'm just gonna get it all out there right off the bat. I'll try not to go on a rant about this one. Dragon, I expected better from this. Like, you know me. I love Don Bluth. Don Bluth is one of my favorite animators. I think the original All Dogs Go to Heaven is a highly innovative. It's a really highly imaginative, emotionally charged animated movie that's not afraid to take risks. You know what I mean? It's like it's a very very dark movie in some respects, and it's just I don't know. It's just of course it's got the Judy Barcy stuff in it, which I don't really want to get into right now, but that kind of holds a shadow over it. Um, it's just a movie that I really respect. It's kind of a movie that I can kind of point to and be like, like this is what the late 80s, early 90s era of animation, not specifically Disney, was all about. The kind of like more gritty, hard edged, like you can put the audience through anything as long as there's a happy ending on the other side of it. And so, suffice to say, Dragon, I thought this premise potential. I want to give a shout out to Jim Hill Media, Dragon, because back in the day, this was back probably 10 years ago. This guy, he writes columns, mostly Disney columns, but he did a special one year that was just looking at like all the Christmas Carol spin-offs, and there were hundreds of them, Dragon, and he would do one a year, and he did it for a whole year. He did 300 Christmas Carol specials or something like that. And this was one of them. And I just remember this one specifically caught my eye. Like, okay, like All Dogs Go to Heaven is kind of a hard edged tale to begin with. Carface makes sense for Scrooge. Christmas Carol at its best is played a little darker. So I wasn't expecting, I wasn't expecting something like Muppets Christmas Carol out of this by any means, but yeah, I don't know. I had my hopes maybe set a little too high, Dragon, because the thing is, I think it's slightly more watchable than The Enchanted Christmas, but at the same time, it doesn't have Tim Curry as a saving grace. So I think this and The Enchanted Christmas are kind of like vying for the bottom of the barrel here on our lineup this year. I was not impressed by this, Dragon. I really wasn't. It's got some redeeming qualities to it. I mean, at the very least, say what you will about it, the plot definitely goes off the rails, but it's certainly a more non-conventional take on the Christmas Carol storyline that I'm used to seeing. But I don't know, Dragon, we'll get into it, but there's just specific elements about this that just really keep it down for me. It's I don't know, it's a bizarro one, man. This one just goes in a lot of weird directions, and I'm just not sure how I feel about it.
Hmm. So I remember renting this from the library like years and years ago. I remember that. I rented this, I believe, on VHS even. Uh, Years ago. So I have, like Tiki, I do have a lot of nostalgia for the All Dogs films. Tiki, did you ever see the sequel?
I don't think I ever have. I assume the sequel is probably in continuity with this because this is sure as hell not in continuity with the first movie by any stretch.
That's the thing. The sequel, more or less, is in line with the with this movie. Here's the thing.
Okay.
So, okay, so I have a lot of nostalgia for the Old Dogs films. Of course, the first one is where you have the that's what gets you into it all because that's the best of the best of the Old Dogs franchise. And again, for the reasons Tiki said, again, there's something special about it. There's something kind of unique and memorable about it. And then it had its sequel, which kind of it was kind of a follow up because the first one had kind of that niche, had a kind of that popularity to it, had kind of that there's something interesting about it. And the sequel wasn't terrible, but it wasn't that good either. It was kind of in the middle somewhere. Anyway, so they made a series out of that. And that kind of gets us to this. Before we get into that, I always remember this because it had kind of a unique take on A Christmas Carol in both good and bad ways, which we'll get into. So, I think more bad than good, but there are definitely there are a few good things that they kind of subverted with this. They always kind of made this stick in my mind with, the different ways you could tell A Christmas Carol. So, moving off of that, I guess, getting into the background of it all. So, speaking of a series, so again, you had Old Dogs Go to Heaven. You had the sequel, Old Dogs Go to Heaven 2, which is basically it picks up where the first one left off. Charlie's in heaven. He had died, as the title would imply. All dogs go to heaven. Charlie up there. And Itchy met a similar fate, and he was also kind of thrown up there as well. And they go on a misadventure where they're allowed to kind of leave. You see where it instantly loses points from the original, where Charlie and Itchy have a mission because they have to. Gabriel Carface, as remember, like Carface, he was also up there. Carface did something bad. He made a deal with the devil in the literal sense. Stole Gabriel's horn, and they basically had to go down to Earth to find Gabriel's horn. And misadventure. That's how he meets Sasha, who essentially is kind of his girlfriend. And it's a whole thing. The point is that I guess, and I never knew this. I remember this movie, but I never knew there was a series because the idea, Tiki, is that this series, the finale of this series is All Dogs Christmas Carol. This is the last thing they produced, so this is technically the ending to the All Dogs Go to Heaven TV series.
Oh man!
And it ran for 3 seasons.
All the chronologic continuity in the canon All Dogs franchise, right, Dragon?
Yeah, and ran for 3 seasons, if you can believe it.
Wow, I actually can't believe that. That's shocking to me.
I know, right? And that's the thing. 'Cause, I mean, here's the thing: that movie ended a lot differently than I imagined that series even went. Because the movie, the sequel had there was a kid, they. I mean, the kid's nowhere in this, and again, I'd never.
I remember that, and of course, the All Dogs franchise has kind of like a weird continuity when it comes to the supporting children in it.
Yeah, and it's cause Sasha had an owner, like a kid that she looked out for, and that was.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It was, I believe it's. I don't know if it was Charlie, but it was something. It was the kid's name. Anyway, so the point is, I don't know if again, having never seen the series, I don't know if they just nixed the kid idea or if it's. Or if they just didn't show him in here, because the idea is the dogs kind of hang out in kind of this bar area, and then they kind of vamoose. So I don't know, it's weird. Anyway, so this served as a series finale. A little fun fact, I'm sure you're going to enjoy. So they recast Charlie as they do each time. So you had Burt Reynolds is the original and the best. You then had Charlie Sheen, and then for the series and for this, you have Steven Weber. Now, you're not going to recognize that name right off the bat, I assume, right?
No.
Steven Weber. It's always something I know you've seen.
I don't have nice things to say about this guy, Dragon. I hate to say it.
Well, you probably wouldn't have had nice things to say about his other character either. He was the principal from 13 Reasons Why.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
I kid you not. That is Weber.
That is so random. That is the most random thing in the world.
But true. All right. And lastly, there was a really good bit of recasting on one of the characters, though. So, Ernest Borgnine, the mermaid man from SpongeBob. Ernest Borgnine. he replaced because the original actor who played Carface passed away from the first movie. And then basically for the second movie and basically throughout the whole series, they had Ernest Borgnine to be Carface. And yeah, I thought he did a good job. And that's pretty much the background. Not a lot there.
Okay, so yeah, Dragon, let's dive right into Charlie because
Hey,
man,
Mr.
the
Eager.
performance is so off. I mean, are you
Hey,
with me on this?
we got plot here, man.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Anyway, Mr. Eager. Okay.
I'm
All right.
sorry. I thought I saw a good transition and I went for it. My bad.
All right, here's the plot, folks. Here's how it goes in case you haven't seen it or you want us to spare you. Here's how it goes. So Charlie and pals are having a Christmas party and a fundraiser for little Timmy, who has a bad leg. Little Timmy's a puppy in this iteration. Carface steals Christmas very literally, including Timmy's Operation Fund. And we also learn, again, if you thought that, again, that's pretty straightforward, but then we're going to take kind of a leap off logic's cliff here, if you will. So Carface is then in league with a demon witch by the name of Belladonna, who is the evil relative / twin of Annabelle. Yeah. Anyway, so Belladonna, whose plan
Sure, why
is
not? As you do, right?
So Belladonna's big plan is to use a large
Oh, here we
demonic
go.
dog whistle to steal Christmas on a grander scope. Essentially, it's implied. I can't even say this with complete autonomy, folks. I'm just going off like context clues here. To condemn the dogs so they will not go to heaven, presumably. It's a guess. I really get. I'm kind of looking. I'm following breadcrumbs on that one, but I mean, that's the logic I can find with it. Anyway,
Oh man.
so it's up to Charlie and Itchy and company to Christmas Carol the heck out of Carface into stopping
And I
Belladonna
still have no idea how they achieve it, Dragon. I'm lost on that.
and undoing this mess entirely. So that's the plot in a nutshell.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm sorry, Dragon. Let's now get into Charlie and so do you agree on me? Do you agree with me that this performance just does not work?
I'm going to meet you in the middle by saying that I think I'm guessing it's consistent with the way he's been in the series. But if we're weighing it against the other two performances, then absolutely it's inferior.
Look, I'm
Especially
weighing it against Reynolds. I haven't even seen Charlie Sheen's take on it. I mean, to me, it's just like I feel like it's a classic example of like the actor's probably trying to do his own thing with it, but Burt Reynolds is Burt Reynolds, and I feel like at that point you just kind of need to cast an imitation actor at that point. You know what I mean? I think that would have been a safer route to go in because I don't know. I mean, I don't want to get too stuck up on the performance thing. It's just it's distracting how much it doesn't sound like Burt Reynolds.
Well, here's the thing, Tiki. It's like basically the way the Old Dogs franchise went is like a copy of a copy. So, like each Burt Reynolds, of course, was the head honcho, and then we get something that's somewhat still in character with Charlie Sheen, and then we just progressively. And this is my problem with Charlie here. Charlie here, he's just kind of
He's got
diluted.
zero edge to him. He's just like I don't know, Dragon. I'm trying not to rant. I'm trying not to rant about this.
Yeah, I know you're interrupting me. That's how I know you're trying not to rant.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
What was I getting at? Oh yes. So basically, Charlie's so diluted here from what he originally was, just kind of the lovable con man, to the point where now he's so domesticated in a way that the character. Well,
he's like Mickey Mouse domesticated, Dragon. That's kind of that's almost what it reminds me of.
I mean, his character really is just helping his girlfriend around the holidays. For charity. He's got a soft spot for the less fortunate, which is like the one thing with this character that tracks from the original. Like the one thing is that he has a soft spot for the less fortunate puppies. Remember the whole like "what's mine is yours." The more that whole thing. So let's see. So yeah, basically, again, what they're really, I think the gist of what they do with Charlie here, but especially for this thing, is that again, like Old Dogs 2 is all about Charlie being a guardian angel. And I think they're kind of going with that here. So that's his main operating thing. He's the dog on Earth who knows about all the heavenly stuff, and he's just kind of like, he's enlightened. So he's trying to save Christmas. Isn't that nice? That sort of thing.
So wait, clear something up for me, Dragon. Is Charlie alive? Is he dead? Is this like a midquel? What the
Okay,
fuck?
okay. Here's the deal. So again, bear in mind, I have not seen the series, so I don't know if they mess with things even further. But what I do know is that Charlie, he did like a heroic sacrifice at the end of two, and they allowed him to stay alive.
Oh man, that
I
kind of
know, right?
defeats,
I know,
that defeats the point. What the fuck?
I know. I'm not defending it. I'm just telling you.
Oh
It's like,
god. So he could just go and visit Anne Marie whatever he wants? No.
I never thought of it that way. Now you bring that up, that makes it even worse. I gotta tell you, I just never
I'm
thought.
upset now, Dragon. I'm upset. No. Just let's just move on. Oh god.
Okay, let me throw this at you. All right, one last
Dragon, I
thing.
gotta say.
It's just basically, I think the take on Charlie here is he's more Ted Danson from Cheers than he is Burt Reynolds here. That's
I can see that. I can see that.
kind of rad. I mean, he's a cool Christmas future though. I got to give him that. We'll get more on that later. But anyway,
I'm sorry, Dre. This is legitimately. I'm just my mind is just. I'm legitimately
I'm
upset.
surprised, being the big All Dogs Go to Heaven fan you are, you never sought out the sequel. That's what amazes me in all this. And you know what's even more amazing? Not about you, but just something I completely forgot to mention to you. I always thought, because I watched the VHS tape of it, I never knew it actually, from what I found, it got a theatrical release.
What really? Okay, we could go down a rabbit hole with this. Let's just.
I know, insane, right?
Oh.
All right, anyway, so let's talk about Charlie's good best pal in the world. Let's talk about Itchy.
All right, probably the biggest redeeming factor in this movie because it's Dom DeLuise. Dom DeLuise will do anything for a paycheck in this era, and he's good, man. He's solid. He's pretty much exactly like the character was in the first movie, which isn't a bad thing.
Doesn't get a lot to do, but he's the likable core of the All Dogs. Of All Dogs. It's
Let me at him. Let me at him.
he gets to be Santa, and that's very befitting.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah, I like how he's the one who's most concerned about the kids getting the presents.
Makes sense that he'd be Christmas past.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, let me rephrase that. You know what? Actually, it might have been better for them to be Christmas present, but they needed like someone to kind of fail miserably at the start. Unfortunately, that kind of befalls Itchy. So, but he looks good as Christmas past is what I'm getting. I think I love the aviator goggles and everything. It's a good look on him.
Uh-huh. All right. Okay, let's get to Sasha.
No, Sasha is again. She is introduced in the second one, so she's like a nightclub singer who basically Charlie kind of fell for, and again the whole owner thing, which devolves into anyway. Without treading through all that again, the point is Sasha. That's why the place they're hanging out in.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The place they're hanging out in, I presume, is the place where they met. It's like the nightclub that she works at, I presume.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So my whole thing with Sasha is that she's like at least like 5 or 6 characters that we've already talked about here, where she's just kind of like the generically nice motherly figure who's nice and motherly, have much else to do.
Hey, you really just have to have for women and children this year, don't you?
I'm sorry. Look, because I'm so critical of it means I want diversity in the roles. I want to see something interesting done with a female character. I'm sick of all these generically nice motherly types.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. She's always just kind of been, she looks out for the underdog, kids, and she's hosting this charity event. That's pretty much all she's really doing this special. You get a sense she likes Charlie and Itchy. Again, she's just really not a lot to her, I'll admit, yeah. Again, I really just waited this question, like, so does she not have the owner now? Like, is the kid not in her life anymore?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Basically, she's the face of realities. That's pretty much what she is as Christmas present when she's in her kind of her ghost mode there. It's like she's just facing people with realities. It's kind of
I will say I like her design the best out of the 3 ghosts. I'll give it that much.
Yeah, she's doing like the Christmas
Uh-huh.
candle hat thing, the reef candle hat. Yeah. All right.
Oh, all right. So Carface,
There we go. At least there's a bright spot. Carface.
yeah, he's fine. He's fine. I'd say he's a middle of the road Scrooge, but not in the bad way. It's like he's certainly no Michael Caine or Scrooge McDuck, but he holds his own. He holds his own in the role. One of my favorite elements of him that we'll talk about with favorite moments, Dragon. I just want to kind of quickly put a flagpole in it. Is I like how his arc is kind of like a combination of Scrooge and the Grinch.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I just, we get kind of some of the stealing the presents, some of the hating Christmas, and kind of tragic backstory around the holidays. I think they kind of mix those two storylines quite well. We'll get more into that a little later.
Yeah, it's kind of the fastest we've ever had a kind of Scrooge really kind of earned his namesake. It's like he literally stole all the presents,
He stole a sick kid's charity money. I mean, that's
which really, in retrospect, wasn't a lot there. But yeah. But yeah, so Ernest Borgnine, he's kind of playing the classic mob boss, which I presume again I'm just filling in logic holes here. I presume because he was in the series. My guess is that Carface he had again he made like a deal with the devil, so I presume that's what brought him back to life. It's been years. I don't know all the intricacies about Carface. I knew he was defeated. Obviously, I just forget like where we left him at the end of the second one. So the
I'm
point is,
pretty sure at the end he gets killed off, but he gets a second chance in heaven or something.
well, no, that's the first movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, but yes, the point is like I presume like now he's just being amongst the land of the living. He's become a loan shark, and kind of a loan shark bully. Hence the reason that he's like welcomed into the club, point blank. Even.
Uh-huh. Sure, why not?
So he's just I love that he's cruel but not as evil as the first movie. He's just they've always been towing a line ever since. And the second movie did deal with this, so they are building on something here. Carface has always been kind of looking at redemption. Is that there's always like Carface was never pure evil after the first movie. They always just they were always trying like a redemption arc with him, and so this whole movie is kind of the logical end of what they're doing with that. So I do appreciate that about him.
I mean, I guess Dragon, like to me, just looking at it like as someone who's very familiar with the first movie, but not familiar with the rest of the series, it's total whiplash with Carface, man. I mean, Carface was a brutal '80s villain. Like he was up there with freaking Screw Eye from We're Back. I mean, he was, he would just mercilessly kill you at the drop of a hat. I mean, he was a threatening cat, man. He really
Well,
was.
he kills the protagonist.
That's what I'm saying. He kills the protagonist within like the first 15 minutes of the movie. I mean, it's like, it doesn't get much darker than that when it comes to like a PG animated villain.
And if you want to look into the Christmas Carol of it all, that was his business partner, kind of like a Jacob Marley situation.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
All right, but yeah, I like that Carface, sees kind of a vulnerable version of himself in Timmy, and that kind of comes back a lot into kind of his arcs. So that's kind of neat. Unlike, here's the thing I read into Carface. Right? I read into Carface that unlike Charlie, just looking at the broad spectrum of good stuff about Charlie, unlike Charlie, he didn't have a positive relationship with his owner or his kid, if you will. Like he didn't have an Amory. He didn't have a relationship with.
Don't get me started.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. It's just the whole fact that it's like he's just leaving Amory hanging, man. Just leaving her hanging.
Right, my point.
Still bothers me. Go ahead.
Right, my point is that Carface didn't have a positive relationship with his owner, like Charlie. Well, so he just kind of grew up kind of this reckless bully who was kind of expelled from his home and on the run for the like on his own for the rest of his life. And that you see kind of a life course in play there with Carface, which is kind of basically kind of you understand Carface a little bit more, like what brought him to the place he's at now.
Uh-huh.
And he never learned from his mistakes, which of course leads to the crux of the story now, where it's just Carface not really looking and not really thinking that much through his bigger, grander business deals that he's that he's making there. I mean, again, he's still by the end of the movie, he's still a bad guy, but he's got a soft spot for people. Maybe it's kind of like a Christmas truce they reach at the end of things, you know.
I guess.
All right, so let's talk about Killer.
Oh man. I don't
No,
know.
they,
Killer's always been a character that's kind of like weirded me out, Dragon. I don't know what to make about Killer. I don't even like him from the first movie, honestly.
I don't know if he was in the series, but I know that's the thing. I'm amazed that they got Charles Nelson Riley to come back, and be
Yeah, yeah.
because the dirty bubble from SpongeBob, Charles Nelson Riley, man. But yeah, it's like
Like,
it's
I don't know what it is. I think maybe it's like the design of Killer with like the old man glasses and everything. I can never quite place like exactly like what his deal's supposed to be. I don't know.
it's supposed to be like it's supposed to be like an old mobster. That's kind of what they're going for. Like he's the gun soul of the old mobster, the guy holding the clip from the Tommy gun. That's kind of his role.
I yeah,
Yeah, boss. Yeah, sort of thing.
I guess the voice, like Charles Nelson Riley, again. I've never really liked the casting of Charles Nelson Riley in this role, to be honest with you, because I just don't. I like to me, he just doesn't have an intimidating voice. He just doesn't deliver his. He just doesn't do a delivery in an intimidating way as Killer, and so I think there's kind of a misdirect. But again, this is a problem that I've had with the character going back all the way to the first movie.
I'll
So
remind you, if I'm not mistaken, Killer did save Anne Marie at the end of the movie. He helped save Anne
I'm
Marie.
not complaining about the character. I'm complaining about the performance.
All right, all right. So Killer, I
And
guess
like I
is
said, I think it's more of a subjective, like personal taste kind of thing with that.
fair.
All right.
So Killer he aims to please. He's kind of the abused yet loyal. He's abused yet loyal to Carface always. It's kind of his thing. I like that he sort of represents a balance. I think Killer represents the balance that Carface could have struck. That basically at the end of the movie, I think Carface is more like Killer than he was at the start of things. Where Killer again, he's not a bad guy at all. He's just in league with the bad guys, and it's kind of what Carface is at the end there.
Uh,
All right.
okay.
All
So
right.
Annabelle Dragon, I'm curious what your thoughts are on Annabelle from the first movie because she is I feel like she's kind of infamous for her like little temper tantrums and stuff like that, and that is just completely gone from this movie.
Well, remember, I got it. I do need to rewatch Old Dogs because it's been
In
far
the
too
first
long.
movie, she's like constantly like going off on Charlie, like like giving him like really dire warnings and stuff like that. She's like a very bipolar character tone
That's
wise.
true, but Charlie did deserve that, though. Again, he's breaking the
I
rules.
mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, but I'm just saying, like, all of the edge of this, like, I feel like the charm of Annabelle, the charm of her character was that kind of like mixed tone thing. And here it's just like very, very whitewashed.
You're not wrong. You're not. Look. I don't think you're wrong about any of that, though. I do like the voice that we got on her now. We have BB Newworth. Lilith.
Oh, God.
So yeah, it's yeah, she's more like Glinda here. She's more like Glinda the Good
Yeah,
Witch.
totally. That's a good comparison. You know what, like that. It's like it's weird, Dragon. We have the Grinch, we have a Christmas Carol, and then there is legitimately some Wizard of Oz in this movie with the
If you
two.
want to get super meta and super connective here, okay, I'm gonna blow your mind here. Okay, get back.
Oh
Okay,
God.
get back and ready. Okay, so when we were talking Muppets Letters to Santa, that
Yes.
director of that had also directed the Muppet Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz,
Uh-huh.
now related to Christmas. You're welcome.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. It would not surprise me if there was a legit like Oz Christmas special out there somewhere.
Well, if there isn't, maybe we could pitch it. I don't know. Anyway, let's get back to this.
I don't know about making too crazy there.
Yeah, I know.
Again,
Look,
not.
I'm not seriously suggesting it, okay? Anyway,
Do you remember that terrible anime movie they did a couple years ago that flopped?
you mean the Tom and Jerry one?
No, Jerry one, the one that went to theaters.
Oh, you mean the CG animated one?
Yes.
I heard about that.
Anyways, Okay. Let's see. So anything else about
Yeah,
Annabelle?
the only thing with Annabelle is that I really feel, and this kind of bleeds into the next one here. She has her limitations, and she's following the rules, and it bugs me. We don't know how like intentionally. We don't know quite what the rules are. I don't need to know all the rules, but here's the issue.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that in pros and
Yeah,
cons.
okay. I'll put a pin in that for now then.
Yeah.
And in the end, she saves Carface for doing the right thing, which is nice. Again, all heavenly and stuff, kind of bringing kind of the heaven component into the namesake, I guess.
Hmm.
All right. So Belladonna, also
All
voiced
right.
by BB Newworth.
So this is the worst this is the worst character in the movie in the best of ways, Dragon. Holy shit. Holy fuck. What the hell, man? This is just like, oh man. I am baffled, Dragon. I am just like, I feel like I am on drugs when I'm watching the scenes with her because it's so out of place. It's like this is a Christmas Carol? Like what the hell?
Yeah,
it
she's
is it is surreal, man. I mean, they go some wacky places with this villain.
yeah. It's just this to me is this is the fun of BB Newworth. There's BB Newworth and an over the top having over the top fun, in kind of a double role. That's kind of what I got a sense of during this movie. She's the problem is she's a little generic, little mustache twirly. And here's the thing: I heard they couldn't get away with demon. That's why she's a witch. That's the thing, which is kind of again, it's all dogs go to heaven. Do we? Like, what? Did someone not read the memo where it has the show's name in it? Did someone miss that meeting? It's all dogs
Well,
go to
keep in mind
heaven.
what I do love that this movie is just I love the title of this movie just being an all dogs Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
All dogs go to heaven, just an all dogs, all dogs.
All dogs go through the Christmas Carol. Every dog you've ever seen has a Christmas Carol experience. Anyway. But yeah, but not a lot to Belladonna, just kind of like a weird head scratch. Like,
No,
what
she's
were
just
they?
like batshit crazy, and just the whole like the dog whistle turning everyone into like mindless zombies and stuff like that. It's just all crazy,
She
man. It's
turns
just
in the Carface's bed for a hot second. And it's like, oh my god, what the?
like what's up with these really bad Christmas movies having really entertaining villains, Dragon? I feel like that's a running trend.
Yeah, well, when in doubt, throw someone laughing maniacally. All right,
Oh,
so
tickle my ivories.
oh god. Okay, so that said, let's talk about little Timmy.
Oh God. Okay. I don't know, Dragon. I thought this was actually a pretty endearing way to do a Tiny Tim character. I actually thought it was probably one of the more likable parts of the movie.
Yeah, he's got some fight in him. He's got a good home. I get a sense that he's got a good home and everything working out for him, with the exception of again, he's got this condition which makes him somewhat of a burden dog that could be in danger. Again, physically he's in danger already because he's sick, but also is in danger of, well, and this is a real life thing. A lot of times if a dog goes through something like this, there, procedures to fix dogs are very, very expensive. So that's a real world issue that they're kind of like going to shine a bit of a light on here. That again, if he has a poor family, and if again times get tough, and if he gets any worse, well, not going to be a Merry Christmas for anybody. So they have the stakes in a very interesting kind of grounded way in that regard. Well, grounded in the sense before we introduce the giant dog whistle that kind of rewrites
Oh,
everybody's mindset. But you know what I mean. All right.
okay. So yeah, let's make a list, check it twice, and find out what in this movie is naughty and nice.
All right.
I want to start with the nice because honestly, I don't think there's that much there.
All right, okay, I'll start with the nice. So, I appreciate they're shaking up the Christmas Carol, specifically with Act Three. I do specifically appreciate like we're changing up Act Three,
Act
changing
three
what
is definitely the best of the three acts.
we're we're using the. I like how we're blending the heaven component with the ghost. Like we have ghost because like she gave her Annabelle gave Charlie and Itchy like a little kind of angel wings magic thing.
Hmm.
It's Christmas Carol with stakes. That's an interesting story move there. Like giving again, I think the stakes are a little ridiculous, but the point being there are stakes attached to Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
It's not just one man.
I think the comic timing and the fluidity of the animation, for the most part, is pretty on point.
The ghost designs look good on our characters.
Uh-huh.
Uh, they're addressing ownership again. We haven't really done that in a while. Like, again, since I guess the two movies. I have no idea. Like that one's just kind of that's kind of a non-starter, nice quality. But I gotta tell you straight. There's a straightforward musical slash act structure to it. Like each act has a musical number. It's pretty straightforward. Like each ghost has a musical number. It's pretty straightforward. I got to give it points there. And I do like focusing on Carface, and again, I think Ernst Borgnine's performance is good.
Yeah, yeah.
About it.
Okay.
To the naughty. Okay, well, okay, so
just make absolutely no sense, Dragon. I mean, you mentioned the power of the heaven thing that Charlie gets. I gotta tell you, I think that a far better way to approach this movie would have been like if Charlie and Itchy were actually pulling a scheme on Carface, where instead of using all the heavenly powers and stuff, which to me makes no sense. I would have liked it if they were just kind of like using costumes and trickery to do it instead. I think that would have been a little bit more fun and in the spirit of the original.
I see your point, and I agree with you. That would have been a better way to go. The problem is, when we get to like the whole like flashback structure and everything, might be a little tricky.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
But
now, I thought the rules for it were it was kind of just like a magic sort of like it was definitely there was a MacGuffin quality to it. You know what I mean? Where it's just or not a MacGuffin, like a Deus Ex Machina, where you could just do whatever you want with it.
Let me tell you about. Here's the rule thing I was specifically pointing out. This is the thing that bugs me. All right, so Belladonna is kind of a lazy plot device that's way overpowered. And I say overpowered because one, she's basically it's an evil version of Annabelle, so you can kind of lazy. It's an evil Annabelle. Now, if you want to, again, I'm just gonna.
This crazy sister.
Oh, God. Sorry, yep. Like, okay, anyway. What was I getting at? Oh yeah, so in her inception, she's pretty much evil Annabelle. Like if I want to give them credit just by assuming here, it's not even good credit, but just like credit for what the logic is here. I imagine this to fit into your thing earlier on. Well, that loud spoken side of Annabelle. What if it was split by some evil demonic magic and it manifested as Belladonna? God. That's why she's out of character now. No. So the point is, again, Belladonna in her inception is lazy, but here's the problem. Here's the rule-wise the problem with her. Okay, so she has so much power, yet she can't flip a switch. Think about it. She has all this power, like she can manifest herself into the bed, she can create the giant dog whistle.
Yeah.
She has her little demon follower guys, yet again, the only reason she needs Carface is to flip a switch. Now, here's the thing that bugs me, okay? They don't say why that is, and here's the thing, here's the logic. All they need to do is address this. That, again, it still wouldn't make a lot of sense, but this would have made it better if they just said that she can't interfere on the earthly plane, like that she can't like directly like some. Like, that's the thing. Like that's why she needs Carface. Otherwise, why isn't she doing it herself? She melts the console. Like what? She can melt the console and she can do all this, and I presume I assume like again smart writing would say okay she needed Carface to build it and flip the switch because she can't directly interfere with things the same way Annabelle can't directly interfere with things, just snap her fingers and fix everything like she does later on. She covers her evil twin in snow. It just does not make a lick of sense. Like there's no again, there's a lack of rules. More accurately, it's the thing. There's no rules, but there should be some rules.
Yeah, pretty weak.
All right, let's see. Again, Charlie overall has become less interesting with each All Dogs copy. So that's just pretty. It goes without saying. Okay, this one bugged me a lot. Okay, get ready for this. So, Carface's
Okay.
tragic backstory is due to despondent owners and whizzing on the Christmas tree.
Don't whiz on the electric fence, Dragon.
That's the thing. I mean, I completely forgot about this rewatching because I knew he had like an owner, but completely forgot how like the owner's like no one cared when everything was being broken around the house, and then they suddenly care when the dog wets the Christmas tree.
And they care enough to just kick him out
And
completely.
the
Like
fact
that's
that that's a
it.
big plot point, like really, like in all the All Dogs movies, I mean, I might have been like one joke with Itchy, maybe once, and and again, I can't remember if that was the second one or the first one, but maybe one joke of that in the entire franchise. Yet, really, we're doing that. We're making like a big part of car faces. Oh, it's stupid. Just why? Just why? All
Yep,
right.
yep.
Okay. Here's a
In general, generally speaking, Dragon, I think the songs in this movie are pretty shit. I mean, they're not as bad as the Enchanted Christmas, but it's not great.
look. I
It
wouldn't say they're all. I wouldn't
likely
say
didn't
they're.
have the budget to really think these songs out with good songwriters.
I'll admit they're not. They're not A game material. They're not even B game
Because
material.
when we hear a Christmas carol, we know it is Christmas at last.
All right. Look, I'm not saying they're Yates. All right. What I am saying
Like I
is that
said, better than Enchanted Christmas, I'll give you that much.
that's what I'm saying. I think they're more passable than something like that's the thing. At least they're passable.
Uh
They're not great. They're not even good, but they're passable. They're the D minuses of Christmas songs.
I hear you. I hear you.
Maybe a D plus. I forget how the little plus minus thing works, but anyway. So okay, here's one for you. Here's a logic hole, a big gaping logic hole here. Okay, when you really think about it, how how are they gonna? How is this cherry that we see basically it's dogs putting like like coins in a can going to pay for a very expensive. Again, we know it's expensive because of a plot point of again, like the dog's surgeries, and if it becomes more sick, it'll cost money, and of course, they might have to make some big choices about the dog. Again, they're really they fully expected that from the get go to pay for the operation, if not put a large, substantial dent in it. Yet, coins in a very small can.
But Dragon, the can was filled all the way to the top.
Look, I don't care if those are Susan B. Anthony coins, man. Those are only good. That's about $20. 35 if they're lucky. Anyway, so okay, let's see. Oh, we have this really weird. What do you think about the really weird last shot of the whole thing? Where it's just kind of Charlie and Itchy watching the story being read. And the fact that it's like committed to a book, like she couldn't remember all this.
Yeah, I agree. That was odd. Speaking of which, I thought the framing device was completely unnecessary now that you bring it up.
Yeah. And okay, and of course the big one. The dog whistle plan, let's face it, is a little strange. I don't think I'm talking
It's
out of
so fun though, Dragon. It's bad in a good way. It's a so bad it's good element, I
Here's the
think.
thing. Initial, I don't know if there's like a regular thing in the show, or I assume it was like something they came up with for the last one. Because it feel here's the thing, Diggy. It feels like the second movie, and that's thing kind of piqued my interest. Like, wait a minute, it's kind of like the giant weird cat bad guy in the second movie. We did kind of
Uh
weird stuff like this, and I'm thinking, I wasn't expecting him to come back or anything, but I was saying, huh, that's well, okay. Here's the thing. For a moment, I thought they might have like they were like maybe Carface is kind of like a line like, oh, I swiped this from the other guy. But no, it was the whole bell. Then that's when Belladonna enters. For a moment, I was expecting the cat guy, and I was like, "Wait, what? Belladonna? Evil version, like the Hot Topic version of Annabelle? What's going on here?" Anyway, so
All right.
see the dog whistle. I don't know. Basically, I think the dog whistle is just too much of like. So they're all magically hypnotized. Like, here's the thing. I love the idea of like the dog whistle being used by Carface as like a weapon, and he's basically kind of covering his ears and everything. Therefore, he can still. Like, they're all paralyzed while he does that. That's not bad. But they lose me completely. Once the whole like you can hypnotize them to do whatever you want. Like that's where I've okay. That now you've lost me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
That's all. I think it's enough. That unless you got any more, no, that's all I got.
No, I think we're good. I think we got it. All right. Favorite moments. I guess mine's right at the beginning, right?
Uh, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we get that Christmas Carol song. What's isn't the best Christmas Carol song in the world. It's fine, I guess. They do some funny stuff with it later, which we'll bring up momentarily. But Dragon, there's one moment it's just so simple, but it's just like a nice Christmas moment where I assume that this is kind of like a mild Lady in the Tramp reference, where we see these owners of an Italian restaurant go out into the back alley and literally give a dog a bone for Christmas. And Dragon, I don't know. I've always loved the idea from Lady and the Tramp of like the chef who's maybe a little bit crazy treating these dogs to an Italian dinner, you know. But yeah, I know. It's just a nice, a nice sign of goodwill. It's fine. I'm kind of stretching with the moments here, but what are you gonna do? I did legitimately find it entertaining that Carface's arc is kind of like a Grinch arc inside of a Scrooge arc. Especially like where he's literally stealing Christmas from this group of dogs, where he's taking the presents and he even took the roast beast, you know. And so I like and I like how it's just kind of a mini weak sauce version of that arc where he comes back brings the presents back, and everyone lived happily ever after, I guess. I don't know. As you can see, Dragon, I'm kind of stretching with these moments here, but it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun that it's not just exclusively Christmas Carol that's getting referenced here. We do have an element of he's literally stealing Christmas. Yeah, that's about it. And then finally, probably by far the thing that made me laugh the most was the running gag about the two dogs that are very eager to start singing a reprise of the Christmas Carol song, and then Charlie's just consistently having to bump in with like, "No, not yet, you guys, roll off." I decided to Dragon. That's like the one moment of like sheer comic. Like, all right, this is some good comedic writing right here. This is getting the job done. This is pretty legitimately funny.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's it, really, Dragon. I mean, I'll just add as an asterisk that I feel like this is by far a much more watchable movie than something like Belle's Enchanted Christmas, just because whereas Belle's Enchanted Christmas is just kind of generically nice and bland, this one is definitely got a what the fuck factor to it. So I enjoyed the what the fuck factor. I really do. All right.
Okay, so my moments are let's see. So we have there's a musical number that I write specifically for Killer. It's this. It's called "I Always Get Emotional at Christmas Time." It's kind of jaunty, I guess. Like not memorable at all. It's just kind of a jaunty tune. It's kind of nicely staged. But I like this just kind of showing Killer being nice to his boss. He's he has a soft spot for the guy. He makes blowtorch as a gift for him, which is it's just kind of a nice little scene.
Mhm.
Let's see, going beyond that. Yes. So, uh, the reason I suggested this whole thing, actually, well, I suggested you okayed it. That's the important thing, folks. If anyone wasn't said so, this Tiki okayed it. But, yes,
Well,
the
to be
clean.
fair, I was the one who suggested the Enchanted Christmas, so that's all me. That's my fault.
Yes. So, anyway, the third act, basically, there's a big subversion with the Ghost of Christmas Future. And in doing that, that's the thing that always stuck out to me most about this. That's the reason I can't get this thing out of my mind to an extent. I just the idea of taking the Ghost of Christmas Future and like removing the cloak and you reveal kind of a zoot suited kind of jazzy guy underneath there, and just it's
I've always kind of thought it's had like a Dick Tracy kind of look to it,
yeah,
especially.
Dick Tracy meets the mask. Yeah,
Yeah,
along
yeah.
those lines. But yeah, just kind of it's here's the thing. On one level, it's just a really fun change of pace. And again, this to me is like the only legitimately. I think the closest thing they get to okay in regards to the music. But this is an okay song. Like, if the rest of it's passable, this is okay. Or, it's like you clean up your act. And what I really like about this is the only thing in the
Dragon,
whole.
I watched this movie like immediately after getting home from Mary Poppins Returns, and if anything else, Mary Poppins Returns has some damn good music in it. And so I was like, oh, this is it's not a fair fight.
Yeah. And the thing is here, this one, I like how this is reminiscent of kind of Charlie and Carface's dynamic. Where Charlie's obviously has the upper hand, and he's kind of showing Carface around again, his old business partner. Again, there's a lot of history there. I like that kind of comes through in the song a little bit. And lastly, I guess this happened earlier on, but Carface, when he's taken to the past, he sees his mother, and this kind of reminded me of a bit from Scrooged, where it's the old every time you see him, every time I bring someone here, they see their mother, and it's Niagara Falls, Frankie. And we kind of had a moment like this where Carface sees his mother and is just overcome with the warm and fuzzies, like, oh, they was like, I want to spend more time with my mom, see how cute I was as a kid, that whole thing. Of course, by the end, Carface, the main thing he took away from this, I'm going to see my mom. It's been too long. So kind of nice.
I thought that was like a nice understated end to Carface's arc, honestly.
Yeah. All
right. So I guess that's it, Dragon. The only thing left to do is ask the daring question: how's it hold up?
Well, it's definitely a little stranger than I remembered, especially that dog whistle plot. I'll give it points for being kind of a somewhat straightforward Christmas Carol, and the subversion is kind of the main points it wins with me. I don't think it's a bad finale for All Dogs. Bear in mind, I have not seen the series. Again, I have not seen the TV series. If you look in the grand scheme of things, it's obviously a decline in quality. I'm not going to have any qualms with that. Again, it's a definite, very obvious decline in quality. But again, if they're going to end it, ending on Christmas Carol and the whole heavenly component, ghosts and everything, I don't know. It kind of had like a kind of an uplifting Christmassy end. It could have ended a lot worse. I don't know. I thought it was as a in the grander scheme of things, not good. But it's
Yeah, Dragon. This is kind of what I wanted from the Enchanted Christmas. In all honesty, like, the Enchanted Christmas was a tough one to get through, and honestly, the only enjoyment I had out of that one was Tim Curry. And this one, it's certainly not good, but I feel like it is an interesting kind of like, it's definitely one of the more subversive and bizarre Christmas Carol spin-offs that we've had, especially with the belladonna of it all and the dog whistle and everything. It's I don't know, man. It's definitely a curiosity. It's definitely got the curiosity factor going for it. So, while I certainly can't say like, oh yeah, definitely put this on your roster, must watch every year. I don't know, Dragon. I gotta say, this is one that I would kind of recommend everyone check out at least once, just for the curiosity factor. So I'm gonna kind of begrudgingly say as sort of a so bad it's good Christmas special, just because I wanted that for the Enchanted Christmas. I'm gonna say it kind of like it sort of lives up to what I wanted out of this in sort of a way I wasn't expecting, just by being so fun and bizarre. So yeah, I gotta say, talking through it, I'm a little bit higher on it than I was going into this podcast. I think there's some quirky qualities to this one. It's not perfect by any means. It's not even good, but it's a case study, man. It's an interesting case study.
all right.
All right.
Well, kids, time to dash away, dash away, dash away all. But as we wave goodbye, don't you cry. We'll be back again next time
With even more seasonal shenanigans.
La 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 la
La la
la.
la la la.
Clean up your